With the state of disaster now extended to July the 15th and with no restriction on how many times the COGTA minister can extend this, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma has the last word on what gets gazetted, the do's and don'ts during the lockdown.
Those regulations need to be rational. There must be a direct link between those regulations and seeking to slow down the spread of the virus or to contain the virus. In particular, the Act says that any regulations that are made must be with the purpose of assisting and protecting the public, providing relief to the public, protecting property, preventing or combating disruption, and finally dealing with the destructive or other effects of the disaster.
But opposition parties want more parliamentary oversight on the state's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Constitution is very clear that all organs of state must be accountable to Parliament. We believe that these defects in the Disaster Management Act need to be repaired so that never again do we end up with a situation where we have a disaster and an authoritarian government uses it as an opportunity to make sweeping regulatory changes with no reference whatsoever to the elected legislature in the country.
There is no accountability from the minister towards Parliament, and Parliament cannot play an oversight role as it is determined in a constitutional democracy. That is the reason why we're also approaching the courts to say that the Disaster Management Act is unconstitutional.
We are also very concerned about the wide powers that the Minister Dlamini-Zuma has in terms of the National Disaster Act and the limited role that Parliament can play in ensuring that illogical and irrational regulations are not passed.
The IFP is on record as having said when the lockdown to COVID pandemic started that there will need to be amendments to the Disaster Management Act. This is because of the fact that for now all the draft regulations and regulations that have been published have been at the instance of the executive, and there's been no parliamentary intervention or input into those regulations. However, we feel that moving forward, there is a need for Parliament to engage.
UCT constitutional law professor Pierre de Vos says opposition parties have plausible and strong arguments. But the parliamentary process doesn't usually allow for snap decisions. And de Vos says in a time such as this, quick and fast action is needed to respond to the disaster. Abra Babia, SABC News, Parliament.